Brian, thank you for your question about transportation and about pedestrian and bicycle safety. Let me first talk about transportation. I'm really glad you asked this question because transportation isn't just a quality of life issue, it's also an economic development issue. And if our community is going to be able to compete with cities around the country who have great mass transit, we have to do a better job of providing public transportation and making as many different mass transit options available to our community as possible. Right now, we really are limited on the options that we have available to us. We have, of course, our PSTA, which provides bus service throughout the city of St. Petersburg and the county, and then in the downtown area we have the Looper that takes you around. But aside from that, and what we've recently brought to the community with bike share, there isn't a whole lot of options, and so we're continuing to look for those options. One of the things that I'm very proud of that I helped lead the charge on spearheading was a pilot program to test waterborne transportation with our high-speed ferry. That was a service that went from downtown St. Pete to downtown Tampa. During its pilot program time, it was very successful, and so we're going to work at trying to bring back that ferry service both on a short-term basis and on a seasonal basis, but also long-term, so that's another option that you'll have as a way of getting from St. Pete to Tampa without having to get in your car and deal with any of our bridges. Another thing that we're working on in partnership with PSTA is bus rapid transit. We're going to have the first bus rapid transit line in all of Pinellas County happening right in St. Petersburg. It'll be going down First Avenue north and south from our downtown all the way out to St. Pete Beach. And that's another good tool that we're adding to our toolbox. But we can't stop there. We got to keep looking at adding more tools. At some point in time, I'd like to see us enhance and enlarge our bus rapid transit to make it citywide. I'd like to see us looking at light rail and then any new technology that comes out. But quite frankly, the biggest challenge we're going to have is how do we pay for it? And whether we get state dollars or federal dollars, if we're not able to access those, then we need to look at how we're able to pay for it. The county currently is the only one that has the ability and the authority by state law to do a countywide referendum for a surtax for transportation purposes. We'd like to have that authority in St. Pete to take it to the residents of our city and say, is this something that's important to you? And if so, would you vote for it? So we're hoping to try and continue to work with our legislature to get that authority because, as I said, transportation is really about the future of our city. The second question you asked about was, what are we doing to make our city safer for bicyclists and pedestrians? And so we've done a lot of it through what they call the 3 E's: engineering, enforcement, and education. Obviously, we need to make sure everybody knows what the laws are regarding pedestrians and bicyclists so that our motorists are looking out for those people who are walking and riding their bikes in our city. Another way that we deal with it is enforcement, where our officers are a little more aggressive at citing people who aren't following the law and respecting people on bicycles and who are walking and pedestrians. But the third way is through engineering, and there's a number of things that we can do there. One of them is to create protection in our bike lanes, or more defined bike lanes, so that it's very obvious what's a bike lane and what is a regular transportation lane. But the city is also embarking on something called a Complete Streets program, and that's really kind of the catch-all for everything we're trying to do. Under a Complete Streets, we go out and we look at our streets and our roadways, our sidewalks, and we see which are the most dangerous currently for our pedestrians and bicyclists, and those are the ones that we attack first, and then eventually take that program throughout the entire city, addressing all of the streets and all of the sidewalks throughout the city. But know that our city and my administration is committed to making sure that we have safe streets for both pedestrians and bicyclists. That's how we create a great quality of life. That's how we increase our economic development, and that's what makes St. Pete the great city that it is. Thank you for asking the question, Brett.